What's up, guys? Welcome to Sterling on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S. And today I'll be giving you my review on The Birth of a Nation as part of the Black Lives Matter series. Now, before I begin, if you are new to this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know the rest. Leave a comment on the section below if you have anything to say. And please let it be an actual comment if you have a comment, because I just want to point this out. Lately, I have been seeing people, whenever I appreciate the actual comments. If you're doing your part and leaving actual appropriate comments, like I'm not talking directly to you, but I've noticed that people have left inappropriate links, put inappropriate links to explicit websites on some of my comment sections. So I please recommend you don't do that. Like I don't tolerate that at all. I just want to let y'all know that before I move forward. But you all know the rest. Aside from that, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below. But most importantly, watch. So, The Birth of a Nation. Yet again, another slave movie that I have seen and reviewed. But I will compare this a little bit to 12 Years a Slave, so bear with me. So, anyway, The Birth of a Nation sees Nat Turner, who is an enslaved Baptist preacher who lives on a Virginia plantation owned by Samuel Turner. With rumors of insurrection in the air, a cleric convinces Samuel that Nate should sermonize to other slaves, thereby quelling any notions of an uprising. But as Nate witnesses the horrific treatment of his fellow man, his fellow brothers and sisters, he realizes that he can no longer just stand by and preach no more. See, on August 21st, 1831, Turner's quest for justice and freedom led to a violent and historic rebellion in Southampton County. So, how do I feel about the story? Out of all of the slave movies that I've seen so far, The Birth of a Nation stands out for many reasons. Its directorial debut by Nate Parker, who I am familiar with from The Great Debaters. I haven't seen him a lot, thanks, but I've seen him in Great Debaters and then Red Tails. I think that's pretty much it. But anyway, he directed the film in which he also stars in it. It feels well-deserved because of the mature nature that it has in every corner, while trying to manage to throw some of those positive feelings in there by having a slave be a preacher to many other slaves and other plantations. Because as we all know, shout out to NCC, New City Church and Pastor Student Ministries for teaching me this, there is no better feeling than the Word of God. But obviously, since this is based on a true story, while the aspect of having slaves receive the gospel is not uncommon, every slave movie has it. Every slave movie, you see slaves going to church and learning the word. Now, I'm not knowing, like they're not going to get something out of it. Like, you can get something out of it when you listen to the word. But anyway, almost every slave movie has someone preaching to the slaves, and they all say the same thing. But I love how they take a different approach and twist expectations with the slave owners offering to help Nat to learn to read and write. Because you don't see a lot of slave movies doing that nowadays. Like, it's not just with the movies. Like, this is just back in the actual historical times. No slave owner wanted my ancestors to read and write. They didn't want to give them the knowledge, the skills, and the necessary tools to beat them. Now, that is how he became such an amazing preacher. Now, Nat has studied the entire word to a point where his response in every situation has been a verse from the best-selling book of all time. Now, that is a true Christian. Now, of course, there comes a time where every slave becomes so fed up that they execute a plan to flee and run away from the land. But instead, we get a straight-up rebellion. We get a straight-up resistance from Nat Turner when he rounds up each of the slaves and killing each of their oppressors one by one, culminating in an all-out feud that ends in an extreme bloodbath. But I feel that with the title being called The Birth of a Nation, it's not referring to the United States of America. We became independent in 1776. I know that, and y'all know that. But it is referring to the birth of Black America and how it has rose from the ashes of their oppressors and possessing the power to fight back. The characters. Now, as far as the film's protagonist goes, it shares the same similarity with 12 Years a Slave. See, I told you I'd be comparing 12 Years a Slave with this. Now, I know this, by comparison, Birth of a Nation is nothing like 12 Years a Slave. This is way beyond extreme as far as the violence and the graphicness goes. But however, instead of being told from the perspective of a free man gone slave, it is shown from the scope of a slave Baptist. Now, like I said, not saying that slaves don't get the word of God, they do. But there has never been a slave preaching to other slaves. If you see what I'm saying. Like, I'm no history junkie, so this is huge for me. Like, this is a big thing for me when I saw this. Now, seeing how this is a biography, the characters in this movie were all real, and Nat Turner is the first slave that took the gospel and spread it across many plantations. Because like I said, shout out to NCC, Passion Student Ministries, because they're the best people in the world that I know. They have taught me one thing. Like me, as a Christian, I'll say that they said that if you have received the good news, you don't want to keep it to yourself. If you receive the good news from God, if you're studying the Bible, you want to spread it to other people so that they can get the good news. Because iron sharpens iron, just as any man sharpens another man. Now, once again, all of the slave masters are not portrayed the same to give the audience members different perspectives on different slave masters, just as is with police officers like in Black and Blue. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Do you remember that? I also love how there came a point in time where Nat had to do much more than just stand by and preach. He had to step up, level up, and fight back, but not only because he had to set them free or because he was pissed off, but because the Lord told him to smite his demons out. Like I said, he's a true Christian. Nat's act of rebellion not only makes him a warrior, but a true Christian for having faith in God, knowing what his actions will lead to and what the cost is, and being okay with it. Because let's be honest, if you're a Christian, you should not be afraid to die because you know where you're going to go. You know that you'll be saved. You'll know you'll be in good hands. Are you in good hands? Rotten Tomatoes gives The Birth of a Nation a 73% score. Director Nate Parker really shows us a new kind of identity for the slavery environment. One that is far opposite of what we are used to. It still keeps the same core elements when telling a story about our oppressed ancestors, but it also gives us a sense of hope with some profound results. For that, I will give it 7.5 SOs out of 10 for being a good movie. Not great, but good. Because there came that time where the mind-blowing, the monumental stuff came during the climax, and not one of those movies where it keeps you hooked from the beginning, but like there comes that point in time where you start to really dig in and feel and root for what the character is doing, and you're for it. So that is my review on The Birth of a Nation. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below, or if you're a history junkie, you can teach me a thing or two about Nat Turner. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time in my next video. Bye.